Hi, I'm Craig Brown, also known as the Blind Guitar Guy. 4 years ago, I started to lose my sight due to two conditions called diabetic retinopathy and the other one being retina detachment. Now, these conditions were caused by a lack of control of my type 1 diabetes, which I've had since I was 6 years old. Now, in that time of me losing my sight in the last 4 years, I have managed to learn the guitar, and it may not be up to a great standard of guitar playing, but it's an achievement nonetheless, especially for myself. You may have noticed my little friend here, this pink elephant. He is a donation collection tub for an organisation called VISTA, which here in Leicestershire, they help look after and support the families and the people who suffer with sight loss. My mission as a VISTA ambassador is to help spread that awareness and also spread the great work that VISTA does, because they've improved my life massively. Also, which I take great pleasure and fun with, is I take my little pink elephant friend here and my guitar, and I do open mic night sessions and jam sessions in and around Leicestershire. As I said, I'm not the greatest of skilled guitarists. However, I have a couple of songs under my belt which go down a treat at open mic nights. Also find Blind Guitar Guy and my little pink elephant friend here across on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, where I use my Facebook and Instagram to help spread awareness across the whole of the UK and even as far as New Zealand and the United States. Now, my YouTube channel, I have designed it where I am teaching visually impaired and blind people the joys of guitar. I am not a guitar teacher by all means, but I learnt to play the guitar while I was losing my sight. So who would be the best person to teach another visually impaired person to play? I run it and it's called Sound for Sight. At the minute, we have just completed Knocking on Heaven's Door. I have had massive amounts of feedback from people, again, all over the world going, thank you so much, this has really been helpful for what you do. And it's so rewarding for me to hear that. However, I just would like to say, I also make like guitar picks and guitar badges with my logo on it. This all comes out of my own pocket. However, whenever I get donations for the guitar picks and the badges, I donate that directly to the charity VISTA. So I don't take a single penny for myself. I also promote that whenever you like a video or you comment on a video or if a new follower has come along to join the journey, that they're not supporting just me, they're supporting VISTA and everyone else that VISTA helps support as well. Now, with donations and stuff like that, I'm not forceful with it. If you would like to donate, excellent, wonderful stuff. If you can't donate, I fully understand. Money's very tight nowadays. I completely get that. However, if you're able to share the video, the next person that sees the video because you've shared it might be able to donate, which is perfect. And let me just explain this to you as well. A blind cane that you'll see, a visually impaired and blind person use walking the streets only costs £35 to £45 for your bog standard cane. Now, when I got shown how to use my cane and supplied my cane, obviously by VISTA, it really changed my life. Like, they came over, they taught me how to use the cane. It took a long time for me to grasp how to use it and the best ways to use it and stuff like that. And of course, I've adapted it for my own sort of use. But it changed my life completely, and I'm very thankful for VISTA for that, and that's why I do everything I do for VISTA. When I first started learning to play the guitar, I was only labelled partially sighted, so I still had a little bit of vision left. However, everything was excessively blurry, and it wasn't like I could just go onto the internet and look up guitar tabs or guitar chords and stuff like that. It was very tricky in the first couple of months because I was literally just trying to feel out the guitar and know where everything is. But now I can just jump, and I mean, I've even got bar chords, which is one of the hardest things to learn on guitar, and I can even bust a little solo as well. However, learning the guitar really gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a reason to get out of the bed in the morning, and yeah, it just gave me a sense of achievement, because when you lose your sight, you don't just lose your sight. You lose, well, I have a little joke saying, when you lose your sight, you lose your arm as well, because you're constantly using a cane. But it's not the only thing that you do lose. I found that I lost a lot of my friends' circle because I wasn't able to do the things that they were able to do. So within time, I just kind of got forgotten about, which is fair enough. I completely get it. You know, I used to go out riding motorcycles and tinkering and playing with cars, and being blind, you just can't do that. So you stop getting invited to things like that, and car meets or car shows, or, you know, going out riding your motorbike. Obviously the DVLA do not like us blind people riding motorbikes. However, I also lost my career, which I was an engineer, and in the same time that I was suffering with my sight loss, I also got diagnosed with chronic kidney disease. And that was all within a week, and it took me a lot to sort of process that, and it was mentally draining and very depressing. And it was actually my dad that turned around and said to me, look, if you learn something new as a blind person, you wouldn't know how to do it as a sighted person anyway. So it's just like learning something new. You just remove the blind part out of it. And I thought, you know what? That's great advice. He was an avid, well, it still is, an avid guitar collector. So I put the two and two together and started learning. And I'm only 2.5 years into learning guitar, and I think I've done quite well. As I say, like bar chords, little bits of solo. I know my open chords, and I know a fair couple of songs and stuff. And I've done a couple of open mic nights, and I've also been featured, you know, on the BBC East Midlands Today, ITV News Central, and I've been on a couple of radio shows as well, which is great for someone that's only been playing 2 years, let's be honest. However, I also document on my social media the day-to-day troubles and even the day-to-day joys of being blind. I know it's shock horror that you can actually enjoy having sight loss, and majority of the time it's just playing funny pranks on people. I went to a guitar show a couple of weeks ago, and they just saw me as a blind person walking around a guitar show not knowing anything. Well, I found a seat, found a guitar that I wanted to play, and started playing it. And just to have people come up to you and be like, well, that's amazing, like, are you actually blind? And I'm like, yeah, it depends what your class is blind. Which brings me on to another subject, that before I started losing my sight, I thought blindness was like a light switch. You could either see or you couldn't see anything at all, which I've now come to the realization that that's not true at all. I like to say that blindness is a spectrum where you've got your fully sighted people over here and your fully blind people can't see anything over here. But being registered blind doesn't just mean yes or no to sight. It's everything in between as well. A lot of eye conditions, you know, tunnel vision and stuff like that, kind of like looking through a straw. I'm not educated in all the eye conditions. I'm not a medical expert, so I don't know the names and stuff like that. But With my sight loss journey, I've met so many people that are visually impaired and blind, and they all have different conditions and different versions of how they see the world. And I think that's a wonderful and beautiful thing. Yeah, losing my sight helped me learn a lot more about sight loss and even about myself as well, because I had fallen in with a crowd which I probably shouldn't have, and I thought it was wonderful, you know, doing things that I probably shouldn't have been doing. And now I look back and think, oh God, what was I doing? And the music taste that I was into as well, just, it wasn't me. And now obviously I love acoustic guitar now. Absolutely love it. I love metal rock music as well, you know, there's nothing better than thrashing out to a bit of metal. However, my key passion is my acoustic guitar and acoustic music. But it's taken me to lose my sight to actually find my true self. With sight loss comes a lot of medical jumbo lumbo and all of that talk. So my left eye is completely blind. I see nothing out of that. I don't even see black. It's very strange. It's like someone's actually cut half my face off and removed it. There's nothing there, which in a couple of months' time, I'm actually having this eye removed and the optic nerve that joins the eye to the brain removed, and having a prosthetic put in as well, which is a big operation. And it's hard to get my head around the whole operation, but because the eye doesn't work, it's shrinking, which causes a lot of pain. Day to day, even throughout the night, I'll wake up and my eye's hurting and stuff like that. I take numerous of eye drops to help control the pain, but they don't really do the job. A couple of months ago, I had a surgery called VR surgery, which helped clear scar tissue and blood from my seeing eye, I like to say, which has helped massively, because now I'm able to determine what's a wall and where the floor meets the wall and stuff like that. However, I haven't got much colour, so everything's kind of like a 18th century photograph. And every now and then, because of the diabetic retinopathy, my blood vessels in the back of the eye will just burst. More if I'm doing something that's very strenuous, like lifting a heavy weight or something like that, or if I sneeze or cough too hard, which is a problem at the minute, because as you can probably hear, my voice is crackling because I'm just getting over the flu. However, with the diabetic retinopathy, it leaves little black floaters in my eye. Now these are projected blood that's gone into my eye line and vision, which is a huge problem because it takes a couple of weeks for that blood to dissolve, and sometimes it doesn't dissolve, and that's why I had this thing called the VR surgery. So what they did was they cut into my eye and scraped out the old goo from the blood and fixed some of the scar tissue, and then I had laser surgery at the back as well, and then they fixed it all together with a bubble in my eye, which was amusing. It was quite good fun, but the pain was immense. I've also had numerous of steroid injections into the eyeball as well, which helped temporarily. Sadly, nothing will bring my eyesight back. The damage has been done due again to the type 1 diabetes, but the way I see it is, see it, do you get it? Little pun. The way I see it is what it is, and you know what, I wouldn't change it, because again, the things I've learned, the people I've met, the experiences that I've had, just because of my sight loss. I often tell people the best thing that ever happened to me was to me losing my sight. My hopes and dreams for the future is not to be a famous guitarist, believe it or not. I couldn't think of anything worse. Trying to juggle type 1 diabetes, blindness, chronic kidney disease, and my thyroid problems, and then juggle being famous as well. It's just not for me. I'd be far too busy. It'd be far too complicated for me as well. But my hopes and dreams for the future is to carry on doing what I'm doing and helping the charity VISTA, because it does sit very close to my heart. And try and inspire and motivate other people to learn something new or pick up a new hobby. It doesn't have to be guitar, it doesn't have to be music related. But when you lose your sight, you think, oh no, everything's all over, I'm not going to be able to do this and that. And to a certain degree, yeah, there are things that you're not able to do. However, not everything is impossible. I once got told on social media that my guitar playing sucked and I would never achieve anything. And again, I mean, I've been on previous news programs, radio stations, you know. I've helped inspire a handful of people to start playing guitar or even start playing other instruments and stuff like that. So that's my hopes and dreams, music-wise. I'm hoping to be the generation that sees a big step in technology with sight loss and blindness, because yes, there are gadgets out there like a liquid indicator which you put in a cup that beeps at you when the liquid fills up the cup a little bit more. But if we have that now, think about 10 years time what can be, especially with the power of AI. A lot of my social media posts and stuff like that are assisted by AI technology, because it just makes it easier for me, where I could spend 10-15 minutes using voiceover to create a post with letters and words and stuff like that, where I could just talk to AI and it will write it out for me perfectly, and then all I have to do is copy and paste it, and it gets the point across that I was trying to make. Also, sometimes I can't word things too great because I have a human brain that likes to fail. But yeah, I'd like to see where AI for sight loss is going and today's technology as well. Also, just to motivate more blind and visually impaired people to get out and live life and do the things that you want to do. Because yes, sit around for a couple of months, maybe to a year, maybe to a year and a half. Feel sorry for yourself, be depressed. It's a big step to take. Like, when you get told that you're losing your sight, it's a huge impact to your life. So yeah, feel sorry for yourself for a little while, but don't stay there, because it really isn't worth it. You need to get out and trust yourself and believe in yourself that you can do things with your visually impairment. And there's so many other people out there that do great things. You've got Tilly Dowler, which she owns her own business, her own clothing business, and she's visually impaired and blind as well. That's an amazing achievement. I would also like to see a bigger step into education and training for the visually impaired, because we are slightly limited to what we can do, but there isn't a lot of training courses or anything, especially in my local area, for the visually impaired and blind. I like to do social media editing and stuff like that, because again, I do the blind guitar guy stuff, and I have had to learn it all by myself. I'm even doing this little interview for YouTube right now just on my own, and I use this little tiny Bluetooth clicker to control the camera to stop it and start recording and stuff like that. And I use voiceover to tell me if I'm on the screenshot or whatnot, and if I'm not, I'm able to crop the video down so it becomes a bit more focused on my own body. Also, I am learning how to use Apple accessibility technology, so like things like voiceover and other things like that, in the hopes that I can teach other visually impaired and blind people how to use their mobile phone, because staying connected, especially when you've lost your sight or even lost any of your senses, any kind of disability, you feel very alone and you need a community around you. And excuse me, with today's technology, it's so easy to reach out to other people, family, friends, or even complete strangers, people halfway across the world I talk to on a daily basis. They support me and I support them. So it's very important for me to be able to learn accessibility on the Apple iPhone, so I can go out to other visually impaired and blind people's houses and teach them how to use it, so they stay connected with their friends and family and even meet new people like I have done. A story in my past, it all starts when I was a child. I grew up in a broken home and then a not a broken home, where my parents, you know, they would split up and break up and stuff, and they both had their own struggles and their own issues with life to deal with. And I just don't think they were quite ready to have children as well. And I love my dad to pieces. He is my idol, I adore him. But I reckon he was just too young when he had children. And yeah, our childhood, mine and my two sisters, were just, it wasn't an ideal household to bring up kids in. But that has made me a stronger and better person today than I ever would have been if I didn't have them experiences. So I often say to my dad, thank you, because, you know, in a way, my mum and dad kind of showed me how not to be at that age. And again, now my dad is my idol. I love him to pieces. He's excellent. He's recently survived cancer and also has survived a couple of strokes as well, and a couple of other medical issues that he's got. But he still, you know, has the energy and has the ability and confidence to wake up every day. And again, he collects guitars and builds them as well. I mean, that's great, especially when someone that's had a stroke, you know. And I idolise that because, again, he gets up every single day and does what he needs to do. And I adore him, really do. He's definitely my idol. School life wasn't great. I suffer with a condition called dyslexia, and it's mostly with maths and a little bit of spelling as well. And when I was doing, you know, upper school and stuff like that, my last school, my high school, so to say, dyslexia weren't a big thing back then. There weren't many things with learning disabilities and stuff like that, so that the accessibility of it all was absolutely terrible. But I still managed to get through it, and I just tried my best, really. And it even reflects now into like guitar. I had to learn the musical alphabet, which is A to G, and I didn't know the alphabet A to G, so I've had to relearn all of that. And it was tricky as well, because in the musical alphabet you've got things called sharps and flats. So you've got like A sharp or B flat. So it goes A sharp, B, C, C sharp, and stuff like that. And it's very, very complicated. But you know what? If you just take the time and sit and concentrate without any distractions, put your phone down, put your tablet down, turn the TV off, and just concentrate and write things down and stuff like that, it really does help. And believe it or not, being visually impaired, I still use pen and paper to write things down. It just has to be massively enlarged. That's all, really. I like to tell people that the life I live now is the best life I could possibly ask for. I have a wonderful partner. She's so caring and loving, and even on the days where she doesn't want to do anything, she will still help guide me to an open mic night, sit there and listen to my awful singing and guitar playing, and then still help me get home and unpack my guitar and everything else that I brought with me. She even helps with the VISTA side of things as well. She's not an ambassador, she's my partner, but she's along for the ride, and I absolutely adore her. My apartment, I absolutely love it. It's my first sort of solo living adventure, and yeah, everything's great. Everything's been put in place where it's nice and easy to get hold of. Sometimes the kitchen's a mess, but it's a kitchen. That's what it's gonna be, you know. My cat, I absolutely love my cat, but I'm unsure if the feeling is mutual, because every chance he gets, he will bite and scratch me and everything. He has no empathy for me being visually impaired and blind. And to be fair, why should he? He's a cat. He's living his best life. He gets fed, he gets watered, he gets to go outside, he gets his poop cleaned up, yeah, and he gets to sleep all day. What's not to love about that? My venture into learning guitar now, I have a guitar teacher called Andy Holland. He's a great teacher in Leicestershire. He comes out to me once a fortnight and just teaches me what I want to learn. And we've done a little bit of music theory. At the minute, we're learning different strumming patterns and different rhythms and stuff. But he's taught me so many songs, and he's also great as well, because if I get a new piece of equipment, like this Martin guitar here, the action was very, very high, and he took it while I was on holiday and I wasn't using the guitar, and he shortened down the action. He's cleaned up all the frets and everything, because I had a quiet little buzz. And if I do have any maintenance issues with the guitar, he will help me. However, I did learn to restring the guitar myself. Now, being visually impaired and blind, obviously very small holes and stuff like that, you can't see them. So my trick is just to feel it out. And yeah, you will get the string ends cutting into your fingers and stuff like that. And these little bridge pins here, which hold the strings in, you will lose them. Just buy spares. You know, they're cheap enough online. Guitar picks. You speak to any guitarist, sighted or not sighted, these things go missing. Even more so when you're blind, because you'll put it down and it's gone. But again, I mean, I make these great little guitar picks with my logo on. As you can see, my logo back as well. I also do the badges as well, and it all goes to the charity VISTA. But I'd like to thank everyone just for taking quite a long time to listen to me ramble and tell my story. I've been told that a couple of people, oh Craig, you should write a book, because you know, the stuff you do and the stuff you've been through, it's inspiring, and it's nice to hear that you've come out on top. And a lot of people go, Craig, you're so energetic and you're so motivational and you're so happy and you can always have a laugh and stuff like that. And believe me, it's not 24/7, it comes and goes, but if I can spread motivation and inspire other people to just be happy, especially when it comes to sight loss, because it is really hard to drag yourself down, then my goal is done. But thank you ever so much for listening to me ramble, people of YouTube, and I hope this has helped anyone, even if you're not, you know, visually impaired, even if you're just going through a hard time in your life. Just know that things can get better, and if you work at it and you're persistent, you can do anything that you really want to do with limits. You can't fly to space unless you're Elon Musk. But yeah, thank you ever so much for listening. Again, I'm doing videos across TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and obviously YouTube as well. So if you're interested, please feel free to drop me a message, drop me a comment, and I do ask that people just like the video, just because it's helping me spread sight loss awareness. None of this is self-gain. I don't pocket any of the money. It all goes over to VISTA. But yeah, thank you ever so much for taking your time out of your day to watch this little interview that I'm doing by myself. It's so weird, I'm sat here talking to myself. But I thought about a couple of questions to ask myself, I guess, in the interview. But yeah, it's good. But if you do have any questions, do not hesitate to pop up on Facebook, pop up on Instagram, do a private message, a DM, an inbox, or anything that you want, or even just comment on one of my posts and ask me a question. But feel free, yeah, to follow me, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It's all the blind guitar guy, basically. I beg you a good day. Thank you very much for watching.